What's up everyone, Lion Roar here, and we have a brand new Hero of the Month in Empires and Puzzles. It is CINISIA. We've had a string of pretty poor Heroes of the Month, so can she break the mold? But first, download Bloodline Heroes of Lithus, a mobile RPG action fighting game where you can marry your champions to create new and unique hybrids. Use the link in the description to start with some free stuff, including gold and diamonds. See you hopefully soon. Alright, so CINISIA is a 5-star nature hero, and before we talk about her skill set, I have to say, I really like this art. It's getting back to the kind of art I really liked in Empires and Puzzles, which they got away from and became a little too cartoony. Not my thing. Some people enjoy that kind of art, but I enjoy this kind of art a lot more. It reminds me just much more of the fantasy type of art that I enjoy. And as somebody who enjoys collecting as much as I enjoy actual powerful heroes, I do like this. All right, so she is of the wizard class. It's an okay class, it's fine. She's got a passive here, increased attack per non-nature enemy. So at the start of each battle, this character's attack is increased by 5% for every enemy that is not of the nature element. In battles with multiple waves, the effect is refreshed at the beginning of each wave. All right, so that's really interesting, and like an anti non-green type of hero. That means, by the way, that at least with the passive, we can create some synergies, which I think you're also going to be able to compound with some of the specials. I'll talk about that in a moment. Resist attack ailments. This character has innate resistance against status ailments that affect attack. All right, so they're definitely playing up the attack here. And I do have the max power preview on. With that on, attack can possibly be 1,207. With 971 defense and 1,774 HP. And that is 883, 729, and 1341 respectively without the max power preview on. I do like to turn the max power preview on because I always like to answer the question, is it worth it to throw all the resources into this hero? Now, what I have to say really stands out here is that extremely high attack number. For whatever reason, in the last couple of years, Empires and Puzzles has really been powering down their Heroes of the Month. And so it's not often we see a stat on a Hero of the Month that high. I mean, you know, maxing it out without the max power on is 883, which is an enormous like base stat for that. So that's pretty cool. And also if you max it out with the... you know, over here on the right-hand side, we get an attack up. So at the start of each battle, this hero gets out an additional plus 20% attack for 6 turns. So that's making me really excited as long as the ability is good, which is Fury of Ash at average speed. Now, average isn't bad because you can, of course, put mana troops on and make it go a little faster. Functionally fast is what I like to call it, where you get it from 10 tiles down to 9. She deals 240% damage to all enemies. That's pretty good. It's not a super high percent, but her attack is already high, so it's actually going to deal a good bit of damage, and you always got to appreciate that AoE damage that hits everybody. That's always really powerful. All enemies get negative 60% decrease for any healing received for 3 turns. There was a time in Empires and Puzzles history when that just didn't matter all that much because you could work around it by just creating opposing teams that had like just so much damage, like you didn't even need to rely on the healing. But in this day and age, we're in a meta where there's a lot of over healing. I think this is a lot more valuable of an ability than in the past, and some of the OGs like me might overlook that particular ability, but I think it's actually relatively good as long as the other abilities are good on the hero. All enemies receive 410 bleed damage over 2 turns. Against ice characters, this status effect becomes uncleansable and lasts 2 turns longer. So there we go. We got some more non-green hate, but this time it's in the form of anti-blue. And so what this means is not only for the passive, but for this part of the special ability, Hero is probably gonna be better for offense than on defense, when you can actually pick who you're taking her against. And so I think that we're going to see her used a lot in war. We're going to see her in the Watchtower and in tournaments where she can be effectively used on offense to counter something the other team is doing, especially with blue on the other side. But like if they put multiple blues, forget about it. Yeah, you definitely want someone like her in there. But you know, even against like the multiples of, you know, based on this passive here where they don't have green. Okay, and then lastly, she's got an elemental link that gives plus 10% mana generation for all nature allies for 4 turns. This effect can't be dispelled. And yet again, that's another thing that's incentivizing you to put her on offense where you can stack the greens. So, I mean, this is just creating a situation where if there's a blue tank on the other side of the battlefield or flanks even, then stacking green is a really good option here because it's just going to, I think, exponentially create damage on the other side. I mean, really, you're like dealing a load of damage if they're ice on the other side. You've got this 410 bleed damage and just lasts longer. Now, if there's one knock I have against CINISIA, it's that her effect is kind of slow. A lot of the damage is being done through bleed. I know there's a lot of initial damage, and that's really good. That's a plus in my book. But the bleed over time, you know, I don't know. This game is just, the meta is so fast sometimes that if you don't defeat a team within the first few turns, and that doesn't mean the match is over necessarily. It just means you gotta have the advantage in the first 3 turns, or you lose. And I do fear a situation which it could take her a little bit longer to like gain that advantage unless you build around her appropriately. So I certainly don't think she's an overpowered hero. I actually think she's a pretty good hero. I don't think she's gonna be great though. Like, so for example, I can't imagine putting her on defense unless you don't have some of the top overpowered defensive heroes in the game, of which there's so many now. You should be able to cobble together a defense that's extremely formidable, and she's just not really a defensive hero because if you see her on defense, you just won't bring blue heroes, right? So there is that. I like her though. I like her, but I don't want to get too excited because of the amount of time it's going to take for her effect to happen. So I think for that reason, I'm going to give her a B plus because I think she's almost there as an A. I think things that could have pushed her over the top potentially are more immediate damage or being fast speed or something like that. But I mean, she's got a lot of the things I like to see. She does have a really high attack stat, which makes the damage good. She's got, you know, that plus 10% mana generation, which is always really powerful if you bring multiple green heroes. The passives are actually pretty good. You see this rise in attack as you keep playing too. That's another thing that, again, it's a little bit slower because you kind of have to wait on some of that stuff. But if you work hard and you build around her, you can create a situation where she's like gaining attack. And so, yeah. But this is just speculation. What do you think? Let me know in the comments. If you enjoy videos like this, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit that bell notification. And I will catch you in the next one.